All right, we are live. What's up, John?
How's it going?
As I named this one, Johnny Boy.
Johnny boy. There we go. Happy
Awesome.
Friday.
Yeah. We were actually just talking prior to this. So you're going. Your next event is the TIA government one, right? What is it called
Yep.
again?
Yeah, it's the TIA 3PL Policy Forum. It's
Yeah.
slated to be in Washington, D.C., September 15th through the 17th. So, really excited about that. I think there's going to be representatives from every state kind of talking about the freight that's going, or the fraud that's going on within the industry, kind of how do we combat that. Hopefully, we can get some legislators to bend their ear and hopefully make some positive change for brokers,
Yeah.
carriers, technology companies alike. So,
Yeah, it's definitely wild, all the fraud that's going on out there, and you definitely know firsthand too, because you have, brokerage experience, you have your software as well, so you're kind of all the way around involved. So let's, I guess, take it back and like get to know you a little bit more. I know you and me
sure.
have known each other for a minute here.
Yeah.
But kind of tell me everything. Tell me your whole life story. No, so
Well,
you grew up, you're in Kansas City, right?
yep,
You
that's right.
born and raised or move around?
I've been very fortunate. I born and raised in Kansas City, in Shawnee. Managed to high school, went to K State for college, moved back to Kansas City, bought a house in Shawnee, bought my second house in Shawnee, bought my third house in Shawnee. So
Yeah.
I have not lived anywhere else. I like to travel. I go everywhere, but home's home for me. So
Yeah. No, it's the heartland, right? That's why
it's the
so tell me
heartland.
about that. Like how did you start off like in logistics right away, or what was like your first job that brought you into, logistics, I guess?
Sure. So went to K-State. My senior year, I was looking for internship programs. This company that I happened to walk past, they had the name C.H. Robinson on it. I didn't know anything about them, didn't know anything about trucking, didn't know anything about logistics. Met two really cool people, Fred Pock, Laura Bowling. Talked to them, and they're like, "Hey, I think you should apply for the internship program." So I did. First 2 weeks, fell in love with the whole industry in and of itself. So the rest was kind of history. I finished out my last semester at K State, went back to go work for them full time. Was there for 8 years. Great organization.
Yeah.
The training is second to none. So had a really good experience. And then just kind of as life progresses and people are looking for kind of that next step, that next opportunity, had an opportunity to go to work for a startup company in 2015. So I left there, went to a startup company. Great experience as well. The company was 2 weeks old. They
Oh
handed me
wow.
a phone and a computer, and they said, "You've been doing this for 8 years. Get to work." I said, "That's fine with me." So off to the races. I was tasked with building out an agribusiness division, really focused on agriculture transportation. So
Okay.
bulk shipments, whether it's dry or liquid, as well as seed, chemicals, all ag inputs, machinery, anything that was ag related. That's what I was focused on. So really focused on that for the next probably 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Then when COVID happened, things kind of got a little hairy. So my wife and I, we've got 4 kids. So right when COVID happened, the twins were born. So we had a 3-year-old, a 1-year-old, and twin newborns.
Wow.
It was a tough environment, but thankfully we have a good support system at home. So we had help on the home front, and I wanted to be in the office. I love my kids dearly, but
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to get work done with 4 little kids at home, as most people would probably agree with. So
Yeah.
um, things went well. We were having a really good year, and then some changes were made, and I kind of felt like it was kind of I was ready to take that next step in my career. So I was
Yeah.
like, let's go out and start our own brokerage. So we put together a plan and executed that, and launched off in September of 2020, and the rest was history. So it's been a wild ride. We were able to get things going very quickly, onboard new customers, drive sales from a brokerage standpoint. We were operating in the black by Jan 1 of
Oh wow.
2021, so things were good. And then we scaled quickly. I think by the end of 2022, we were around 50 million as an organization, and then the downturn happened, right? That everybody's
Mm-hmm.
talking about. So 2.5 years of the freight market consistently going down, still onboarding new customers, but either losing market share to competition or just losing it in general because due to the nature of the industry that we were in. Farmers were doing less. There was less loads to be had. They were shifting a lot of that more to assets, which totally understandable. And then really we've kind of had a turnaround this year. We've retooled, we've done some new things. So we're seeing growth for the first time in 3 years. It's awesome.
Wow. That's
Super
rare
happy.
right now.
It's rare.
Yeah.
But again, I think that's a testament to the Heartland organization and everybody else. So.
Yeah. That's awesome. So Heartland, is it mainly, I know you said like egg and all that stuff. Is that mainly what it specializes in?
Mainly agriculture. We've branched out. We're getting into more food and beverage, just more general manufacturing. We've
Yeah.
got some automotive customers, so several different industries sprinkled in there.
And I think that's like key as far as building a successful business, no matter what the turn of the freight market goes into, because having a diverse customer base makes it where like when a COVID hits, you're not going under. You can pull from different areas that may be excelling.
Yeah.
Do you use that kind of like your strategy whenever you started Heartland, or did that you just kind of flow into that?
Well, I knew that we had to focus on portfolio diversification because, I mean, just sheer dry van brokerages, there's a dime a dozen. And again, I'm not for once saying that people don't have their niches with the clients that they work with, but
Right.
we looked at it holistically, saying we want to be with van customers and flatbed. And even within those segments, what are the niche type moves that we can come in and service those accounts? And, I've always operated under the um, pretense that you really got to focus on three pillars for success for brokerage, and that's
Hmm.
number one is sales, right? If you're not onboarding and bringing in new clients, it makes it very difficult
Yeah.
to grow a business. Number two is pricing, right? You can have all this business coming in, but if you can't price it well, I think that's half the battle, right? If you're losing out to the competition from a price perspective. And then
Right.
number three, and lastly, and probably the most important, would be operations. So whether that's executing on the freight from an operational standpoint, such as setting appointments, building shipments, coordinating those loads, having good communication back to the customer, and then as
Hmm.
well as what your capacity strategy is. And I kind of lump those two together. So those are the 3 points that we really hammer home and focus on, making sure that we're doing all things well. I think we're in a really good spot right now, sales wise. Our pricing's getting better and better, and our operations team is excellent. So
Yeah.
if we can get the pricing, I think that's the recipe for hyper growth.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you guys are killing it already. So you had very young kids going on your own brokerage, like that's crazy. So I think the scariest part for a lot of people is taking the financial risk that entails. Did you like were you saving up for this for a long time? Did you cash out things, or how did you even get to that point? Because I think that's step one is like, and you had four little kids. Like that's a big risk.
Yeah. So I had a mentor that kind of helped me. He had started two logistics companies and sold them. So he seemed like somebody very worthwhile of getting to know, and how did he do that and what does that process look like. So he told me when he got his first company started, he took out $32,000 worth of credit card debt. And that's how he got his business started. And I wasn't
Oh
about
wow.
to go down that road. But no, we've had 401ks, we had them saved up. So
Yeah.
um, I don't recommend this, but at the time it worked out well for us. Like we just took out a loan against our 401k. But
Yeah.
again, I think there's something to be said about individuals who go and raise a bunch of money because it's not their money. They don't
Right.
they don't spend it the same way. For us, it's our money, and we're burning the ship, so we need to make this happen. Because if it doesn't, it's not to say that we couldn't go get jobs elsewhere, but we were really wanting to do this ourselves. So
Yeah, and that's I think having that mindset of like this is my goal, I'm hitting it. That takes a certain type of person too.
right.
If you don't have like a clear game plan from like A to Z. And I think you're right with working for like a big company and then going into a startup mode, you had like the best of kind of all worlds that molded you to be able to have Heartland be Heartland.
Yeah, and it's interesting now, like being on the other side of it 5 years later. I've talked to a lot of other brokerage owners. A couple of them I've helped mentor as well. There's a guy in North Carolina who started his company almost 3 years ago, and they're absolutely killing it, and I couldn't be more happy for them. So,
Yeah.
there's a couple other guys out of Ohio, one in Nebraska. So they're just doing wonderful things. And same thing, how'd you get started? What did that look like? And again, a lot of the stuff you just figure it out as you go. I mean, everybody says, like I've read so many LinkedIn posts recently about it's broker versus carrier, it's carrier versus broker. Like I think that's simply not true. I think there's people in the industry that scream louder than others. But I
Yeah.
think at the end of the day, people want to see their friends win, right? you go work in an office for some big brokerage, just because you leave or you move doesn't mean they're dead to you. I hate that term. I think it's silly.
Yeah.
I think people want to see other people win.
Yeah.
They just want to make sure that not at the expense of their own. So,
And that's really where like relationships come into play. And I think a lot of people are trying to automate so many things within logistics and have tech, throw tech at everything, which tech is great and awesome. Like obviously we both do tech stuff, but you have to have that human element and that relationship part to keep, I think that's what sets people apart. Like you're either at this level with just tech or you're at this level because you have like a whole network of people to, like almost like even like me on my podcast, for instance, like I have enough friends in the industry where they're out there supporting me and talking about it, and like just that little bit helps you so far. So tell me a little bit about so in the beginning, were you out there hustling, finding customers and selling? Because I think that's like a hard part going from maybe being like a higher level agent or wherever you were as in the org to like grinding and you have nothing established. What were your secrets to success on your sales process?
yeah. So my partner Scott has always said, like, if we hire people, they have to be good people, and they have to be willing to clean toilets too, right? And so
Yeah.
we still live by that today. Like, I understand you may have a higher role and you're going to be leading people, but at the end of the day, we've got to get down to the blocking and tackling, and sometimes we got to jump in and help out. So it is what it is. But I think for us, really, like as we got started, like it was calling customers, and I think as you look at your target segment size, right, you got your small micro shippers, you've got your small
Yeah.
customers, your medium, your large, and your enterprise. So as you define what those are, you have to understand what the sales cycle looks like, right? We've got 23 enterprise shippers that we work with today. I mean, some of those took 3 years to onboard. So
Yeah.
I think as you look at it like planting trees, right? So you plant a tree today, it's not going to be anything, of substance at all for 5, 10, 15 years. So
Right.
I've had a strategy to say, okay, what are our target clients that we're going after that are the enterprise and large type shippers? And then what are the ones that we can see direct impact or directly impact and help the organization be successful right here and now. So just setting that strategy and then focusing on those clients, giving people their marching orders, who's responsible for what. Because if you don't, then everybody's trying to be everything to everyone and you're not effective to anybody, right?
Yeah. I think that's something like standing out too, because a shipper gets like 1,000 phone calls a day, like you're just another number calling them and it's annoying. So I think having like a different pitch or a different way of talking to them makes you stand out. Do you
Yeah.
notice the same thing?
Yes, 100%. And so I was talking to another owner this morning, and it's funny because it's like we get so many emails, right? Automated through email campaigns. And
Hmm.
quite frankly, like if I get an email and if it says unsubscribe at the bottom, or there's not a phone number or email address for me to reply to at all,
Yeah.
it's auto junk. I don't even think twice about it. I just can't. So
Yeah.
I think people need to be, you go talk about the human element. Like people need to be more intentional about what they're doing. Like being
Yeah.
able to mass email 500 people at a time is great, but if anybody else has the same sentiment that I do, no one's reading it. And I mean, you might get one or two or three hits right out of 500 emails, but
Yeah.
I don't. I think if you just spend some quality time, invest to your point, and getting to know people and say, hey, this is who I am. This is what I do. You may not be buying right now, right? You may have no intention to bring on a new provider, no intention to bring on a new service. That's okay. I just want to tell you who I am, and
Yeah.
the timing will come when you're like, you know what? I remember that guy from 3 months ago. I'm gonna at least talk to him and give him a shot. So,
Right.
I mean, that's the approach we're taking on a lot of this stuff.
Yeah. That's definitely key. So, tell me about Sunnybrook. How did you always start off like wanting your own TMS and then, developing it, or how did this dream come into play?
So it's probably around 2018 or 2019. I've always had like, 'cause I like systems. I like how computer programs work. I've always had the dream of like, man, it would be really cool to have our own TMS in
Hmm.
whatever organization that I worked for. So this really was by happenstance that this occurred. When we started Heartland in 2020, we were in a TMS for 3 short months. Again, wasn't a bad TMS. It just didn't do what we needed it to do. And that's
Yeah.
the common theme through this whole story. But we got into Aljex in 2020. Great platform. It works well for those small and medium brokers. Helped us scale, got us to where we were, and then we were kind of looking for something else. We had customers demanding more of a 4PL type solution, more automation, and at the time, this was 2022, they
Mm-hmm.
really didn't have that. So we kind of went and we looked at a few other TMSs. Both didn't really meet our needs. We're a little bit unique in that 30% of our business at the time was all dry and liquid bulk transportation. So we wanted
Okay.
to really support that. And we couldn't find any products off the shelf. So after a failed implementation of one of the platforms, we decided to go on an exploratory campaign. This was like June of 22. I think we looked at 33 TMSs in about 75 days.
Oh my
Um,
God.
we had a team of 6 of us. We wrote pros and cons list. We had a
Yeah.
jump. We had a jump to conclusions map, right? All the bells and whistles. So finally, we got done, and we were just like, "Hey, none of these really fit the bill.
Yeah.
All of them have some really good attributes, but nothing is really,
Perfect.
standing out to us." So I
Yeah.
said, "Here's another crazy idea, just like 2020. What if we go build our own TMS?" And I got the death stare from about 5 people. And I said, "Well, before you guys just write off the idea, I was like, you have to understand, like, our goal long term. What does 20 years look like from now? We
Right.
want to be able to have our own proprietary platform, have our own development team. We can go in and make the changes that we need to, and help our organization continue to scale and grow." So Sunnybrook really started out as a proprietary TMS for Heartland. It took about 30 days to get everybody on board, but they finally came around. We hired an outside development company. They did great. No complaints there. They were with us for about 15 months, and then we made the decision to go ahead and pull all the development in-house. And really, that was a function of, for anybody in transportation, you know how complex TMSs can get.
Mm-hmm.
And we were just seeing more and more engagement with them. It started out like every 2 weeks, and by the end, it was like multiple hours a day. And we
Yeah.
just figured that it was better to bring it in-house. So we brought it all in-house in January of 24, with the goal of trying to get everybody in the TMS for Heartland by June 1. We were a little bit behind. I think everybody was in by July 1st. And then during that 6-month, 7-month time period, we had other brokerage friends in the industry that had seen our product, and they said, "Hey, this is really cool.
Yeah.
Would you guys ever be interested in selling it or productizing it, rolling it out as a SaaS solution for other brokerages?" So we started to chew on that idea for a while, and by July, we were like, "Hey, we love our platform. It's great. What would it look like to productize it?" So we really made that decision probably by Q4 of last year, with the
Okay.
intent to start a new company called Sunnybrook, and then take it to market. So one of the challenges that we've seen in this space is there's a lot of TMS providers. And again, not
There's a
talking
lot.
about anybody, because
Yeah.
everybody's using them and they all have their value. We just wanted something that was API first, something that could integrate with anything. I mean, Danielle, you know how many different technology providers are there in the space today, right?
Yeah, a lot. And having a TMS that works easy to integrate is huge. Like you don't and like there's new stuff coming up all the time. And if you have a TMS that is difficult to integrate with, it's like, well then I can't push my business this way because my TMS is like putting a chokehold on me, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we went down the SaaS path, started to build out a strategy for what it looked like to take it to market. So we really started pushing it hardcore at the beginning of this year. So I think today we've onboarded roughly 20 clients this year so far, in 8 months.
Awesome.
So it's been a good little push for us. We've got several more in the pipeline coming in the door. I think we've got 11 employees today. So a year ago we had like 6. So we're growing fast.
Yeah.
And I think one of the other things too is like, how do you target those entry level brokers that do less than 200 loads, all the way up to the medium and large size that are moving thousands of loads per month? So built out a pricing strategy that I think works well for us. And then I think as we look at what these other technology applications that are out there, some of these we've built natively within the platform, probably not to the extent that you could go buy it from somebody else, but again, we're a year old. So as we
Yeah.
continue to grow and develop this product, I think there's going to be a lot of value that we can bring to some of those smaller and mid-sized brokers.
And I think because you're kind of newer and you have in-house developers too, it's like if somebody does have that, instead of spending X amount of dollars for your own TMS, that can take so long. There's so much time, not even just money involved, but so much time and product thing. I think getting in with a TMS where you can have an impact on making changes and updates to kind of customize it to fit you, because especially as a tech provider, like whenever I hear suggestions, I'm like, oh, I never thought about that. That makes perfect sense. And like, having that whole team. And obviously you guys doing that like in-house as well. You guys are seeing things all the time. So is there anything, I guess that makes you guys really stand out with your TMS product? Like, is it specifically for certain types of freight that works better than others, or is there anything else like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things is we've built out a native LTL platform within the TMS product. It's still in its infancy stage. We've got a couple clients that are using it today. We've partnered with SMC3, so they've been great.
Yeah.
I think one of the other things too for me is I'm just very operationally driven. So click budget's a big thing for me. Some of these platforms you click and click and click around.
Yeah.
I want to get to where I'm going as fast as possible, right? Shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. So we're trying to make it so you can navigate anywhere in the TMS, 4 clicks or less. We have Google-like searchability. We have shipment module. We've got orders. So since it's an API layer, we can ingest things at the order level from clients or at the shipment level, bring it all in EDI or API, as you will. We can do all the 210s, 214s, all of that. We've got some dynamic rating solution that we've built in there. It's called Quote IQ. Basically, it allows us to directly API rate customers. We can do that either through the platform itself or through the customer portals. So we're seeing a lot of wins there. Just a lot of other neat stuff. So it's basically just saying what was broken in the space and how do we make it better, right?
Yeah. Right. So how do you come up with the name Sunnybrook?
So my grandpa used to have a farm called Sunnybrook Farms, and it just so happens that that was his favorite whiskey. So at the time that we were building this out, we couldn't decide on a name on what we wanted to call it. So I said, well, until we figure out a name, let's just call it the Sunnybrook Project, and that's what it was, and it stuck. So we just named it Sunnybrook and left it.
That's cool. I'm sure your grandpa would love that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So kind of a little tip to the hat to him.
Right? That's awesome.
Yeah.
Um, well, cool. So what shows are you going to the rest of the year? Are you and your team?
So I know that us and the team, we are going to TIA. What is that in Phoenix
Mm-hmm.
here in November? Going to a user conference for Highway. I think that's in Dallas coming up here in the next couple weeks. Going to Women in Trucking. We're going to this TIA Policy Forum.
Yeah.
Probably a couple others. So I need to check the calendar.
Yeah. Well, awesome. That's cool.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you're wanting to bring up while we're on here? Or
So,
actually, we're only at 22 minutes. We can talk longer. I'm sorry. I thought I was in here for longer.
no, go ahead.
Okay. Go ahead. What?
No, go ahead.
Um, so tell me, I guess, a little bit more about as a broker having like let me think of the right way to to ask this question. Having the Tell me more as a broker, like the having the gut to go out and do things on your own and like building a team. And I know you said like you want the type of employee that can, scrub toilets, but then also, talk to CEOs. Like how are you vetting your employees that way? Is there something specifically you're looking for? Yeah, I guess that's my question.
I think a lot of that comes in the interview process, right? So ask good leading questions that are going to have them create scenarios or talk through scenarios or challenges or obstacles that they've overcome, right? I think that's the first and foremost part of that. I think number two is just like look for humility. That's what we try to do with everybody. I mean, people that can do no wrong are probably not the right person that you want in your organization. People
Right.
that are like, oh, I made a mistake. It's like, well, when you talk about having the guts to go out and start a brokerage or having the guts to go out and start something else, like we're gonna fail, right? Failing is inevitable. I
Yeah.
think the biggest thing is understanding when you fail, realizing that you fail, and then being humble enough to admit and say, okay, here's where I went wrong, but here's what I'm gonna do next time to fix it. And I
Yeah.
think there's so many people out there. Like if you took a poll on LinkedIn, there's probably 1,000+ people that have thought about starting a brokerage or thought about opening up a trucking company as it relates to this particular industry, but they've never
Hmm.
done it, right? They're
Right.
afraid to fail. They're afraid to not be successful. And like what people don't see is like all these brokerage owners, all these carriers, they fail every day. They just don't
Yeah.
tell you about it, right?
Yeah. No, definitely. And the amount of new brokers and new trucking companies coming out, you're like, every time I hear about it, I'm like, good for you, kudos, because that takes a lot of guts. And but I think the biggest difference between being successful and not is kind of like what you talked about originally, is having that that game plan. This is how I'm going to execute it, and kind of staying on course, because it can get where you have a failure and you're like, oh, I got to fix that failure. Well, you actually have your game plan is here, and you need to, keep focusing on going forward. So I guess, was there any type of crazy setback that happened to you that you almost gave up, or where you just kept pushing along?
No, no crazy setbacks to where we almost gave up, but we definitely had our share of setbacks. So
Yeah,
it's one of those things you just chalk it up to, well, I'm glad I learned this when there was only two or three zeros instead of five or six zeros, right?
right.
So make mistakes, learn them off, or do them quickly and learn them often, because if you don't, then the mistakes just amplify and the dollars just cost you more money.
Yeah.
Bigger your organization gets. So.
So some of the stuff that you're under the policy form for the TIA, what are some things, I guess, that you're looking for, like to talk to people on policy changes and stuff like that? Like, what are you looking to accomplish here? Because obviously, whenever if I go, I'm working on trying to go. That my whole talk is like fraud, cargo theft. What the hay is happening? Why are we getting no support on any front, and it's affecting everybody? Are you kind of on the same front on the fraud part, or is it going to be totally different?
Yeah, the fraud's my biggest focal point, and I think it starts with the FMCSA, right? Like at the end of the day, they're the ones that we're all responsible to report to, and
Mm-hmm.
yet we haven't seen any monumental lift on their end to change some of the things. I mean, the fact that people are hacking into the FMCSA and changing carrier data, like that's first and foremost needs to stop.
Yeah.
Um, I'm not the genius that's going to solve that problem, but the first question is really, are they looking into it, right? And I've
Yeah.
heard mixed reviews saying that they are, and some saying that they aren't. So I think the biggest thing we can do right now is bring awareness right to the issue. And I
Yeah.
think if we amplify the awareness loud enough to say, hey guys, this is a real problem. Like this affects people's jobs. This puts trucking companies out of business. This puts
Right.
brokerages out of business. This puts shippers out of business, right? So it is something that we need to address head on. I think we need to have a diplomatic solution. And again, I'm a big advocate of like, don't bring a monkey into my office without taking him with you. So we need to bring solutions when we go meet with them
Yeah.
versus complaining about the problem, but not having any creative solutions that are going to help solve it, right?
Yeah. No, I am like definitely a problem solving type of person. Like, if whenever somebody does come to me with like a fraud story of like, hey, this happened to me, I'm always like dissecting it and like seeing, okay, well, I know this happened to you, that sucks, but what can we learn from it, and what can we, solve in the future and going forward? And I think with the FMCSA is making good strides, like with them combining the system, because even that doesn't talk to each other, which is like what the three different systems. And whenever we're pulling in information like from MCP, it's like everything's everywhere. And anyways, that part is great. And then the new registration, them fixing that as well. But to me, the biggest thing that whenever I go, that I want to talk about is how, like, cause I know the California Highway Patrol, cargo theft guys, and I mean, they tell me that basically they just arrest the same people over and over again. Like, it's the same bad actors. They'll like deport them or something. They come right back, which I guess that's gotten a little bit better since the border's gotten under control. But, like, it's just they're arresting and then they're getting let out on good behavior. And it's like, it's millions of dollars that these people are stealing, and you're just letting them back out. Where if that was like a retail theft, they would have way more punishable time. So I think that's even another step. There's no like repercussion for these guys.
Agreed. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a challenge. So we'll see what we can do here in a few weeks. But I told the guys that I'm going with, I was like, well, are we doing this in vain, or is there real change in action that's going to be taken? And they go, the bigger thing is if we don't go, then we'll never see the change that we want to see. So
Yeah. I totally agree. The more voices that we can have out there, the better. And even, I mean, because outside of logistics, like, I think I saw something where it was like 20% is being added to our goods because of theft and fraud. I mean, we're talking about not being able to afford groceries and stuff like that for the average American. They're living paycheck by paycheck. Well, that probably has a big part of it. Take
yeah.
20% off of our goods. I think 20 is probably higher than what it actually is, but I did hear that somewhere.
I
So,
I heard 20% as well. And I think the other thing too is, what is it doing to insurance, right?
right.
So it's not just the cost of goods, but insurance for the trucking companies, insurance for everybody across the board.
Yeah.
I know the insurance companies, overarchingly, I won't say all of them, but most of them are doing pretty well right now because premiums are through the roof. So,
Right. Premiums are through the roof, and they're really trying to avoid paying out anything that's related to fraud.
yep.
And which is the next fraud girl state or segment that I want to do is where we're having insurance on there and basically asking like, okay, you're saying you have fraud clauses in there, but to me, I did all my due diligence. I thought this was him. Like I'm not sitting with the guy. How else would I have prevented that? And I think that's something within. Obviously, I'm probably never going to get a real answer from them, but I'm like, what exactly are you wanting to see to make it be? This is you did your due diligence. This wasn't your fault that was fraud.
Correct.
So I don't think anybody has that quite answered yet.
I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. But though I probably won't find out knowing insurance companies. But
Well,
well, cool. Well, thanks for hopping on with me. We'll kind of wrap this up. But how can everybody find you, hear about Sunnybrook, and all that stuff?
yeah, so I'm on LinkedIn, John Kuhlmann. You can go to yourlasttms.com for Sunnybrook. Yeah, and happy to help anybody out there that may need some guidance or coaching. I do that for a lot of people, so always open to help other brokers and carriers be successful in any way that I can.
Love it. Awesome. Then, well, thanks so much.
Thank
Bye,
you,
everybody.
Dana. See ya.
All right, hold on just one second.